Lori Lassiter, whose dad founded the Beefmaster breed, said one time that if you're dependent on the weather or the market to make a profit, you're not a manager, you're a speculator. He said the market or the weather may determine how much profit you make, but the fact of the profit ought to be in the sack before you ever. Jim Garish, he's a guy who helps a lot of people with grazing management issues, and he says the more petroleum and iron you put between the sun's solar energy and your cow's belly, the less profitable you're going to be. Something we have lost sight of over the years is, cattle thrive on grass if we're doing our job right. We look at all these inputs. There was an old rancher, I don't have this one up there, down by Sanderson. If you've ever been to Sanderson, that is a hard place to serve the Lord now. And he was at a deal with a friend of mine, and he said, my granddaddy paid for the ranch, hauling things from the ranch to town. He said, my grandkids think they can make money hauling things from town to the ranch. We need to keep that in mind. Another friend of mine, he said he thinks he can make money owning the best cattle because that's what everybody wants to buy. But he can make more money owning sorrier cattle because nobody wants them when it's time to sell. You can improve cattle and you go up in quality. If you start with the best, all you've got is the gain, right? And he quoted his grandfather saying, nobody makes money putting good stock on poor pasture, but almost anybody can make money putting poor stock on good pasture. A guy named Johan Zeitzman from South Africa, he said that a cow's purpose in life should be to produce beef while she is improving the resource she's standing. And that's some of the things that I want to talk about today. This was some spa analysis that Barry Dunn did in the Northern Plains back in 2000. He compared the lowest 20% of profitability producers that they were looking at to the highest 20% and then that middle 60%. Now, there's a lot of numbers up there, and you can draw your own conclusions, but there's some things that kind of stick out in my mind. One is, what's the difference in weaning weights between the high 20% and the middle 60%? But there is a difference in the amount of dollars that they're getting for it. Now there's a couple of ways, and probably both of them, that are in effect. One is some of the things we've heard about this morning. They're doing a good job of marketing. They're picking the right time, the right place. They're having the cattle ready. They know what their customers want, and they're providing it. But another thing that we heard about this morning that's up there. I can have 450 pounds of weaning weight per cow exposed, having a 50% calf crop weighing 900 pounds, right? Or I can have it having a 90% calf crop weaning 500 pounds. Which one's going to bring more money? Without any kind of a premium. The light catch, right? As an old sheep friend of mine used to say, it takes a dang good lamb to be better than two of them.
And the neat thing about futures trading is, see, I can do 20 dumb things. I did 20 dumb things before lunch today. I made 20 bad deals, and hopefully I made 21 good deals. So you're doing lots of trading back and forth all the time. But you learn to deal with risk. And so the message I would bring to my friends in the cattle business or anyone in the ag business is a message of how do you deal with risk? Because I see as a finance major in college, I didn't think they talked about that enough as I look back on that. And in the ag fields, if you got an ag eco degree, you got taught a watered down version, of an abbreviated version of what I was taught in my classes. And I tell you what they teach you. They teach you middle of the road. They teach you averages. It's like let's do a pro forma, and it's kind of what's your most expected, your most likely case. And so it comes to these averages, and I see in the finance world, I see they do averages a lot. They'll do, everything's averages. But you know, what I find in finance is that what kills you is not average. It's the extremes kill you. The average person on the average day does not die. We don't have to worry about dying, right? That's a finance approach to it. But we don't do that in the rest of part of our lives. I bet most of y'all wore a seatbelt here today. You get in your car, you put a seatbelt on. You're planning on a worst case event, something that may happen once or twice in your lifetime where that seatbelt saves your life. And what I want to talk about today is over the next 50 or 100 years, what's the worst thing that will happen in the cattle business, and can you survive it? And can your family continue to be in this industry beyond that? And I'm a guy that my great-grandfather, one of them was a Lebanese merchant, one was an Irish rancher south of town, the Lewis Ranch, W.W. Lewis. It's not there anymore. And it's not there because my great-granddaddy W.W. Lewis in the 30s got into farming. He did cattle and farming. And we'll look at a chart that shows you a perfect storm. Both of those markets went in the tank hard in the Depression. And he sold 5 sections to keep one. And it's interesting, his kids and his grandkids did not ranch. Now his great-grandkids, my brothers are out there, and they ranch. But he did not survive the extreme storm that hit him. And we don't know what's coming down the line. We don't know the next 50 or 100 years. But it's prudent, I think, to think about that extreme event that may happen. And you know, right now it sure isn't much fun. I get that. And we'll talk about that. But you got to be able to survive the extreme storm, or you're out of business. And that's what I live with every day as a futures trader. But I tell you, I'm the biggest chicken as a futures trader. You hang up your pride when you come in there. You hang up any kind of courage. You say, no pride, no courage. We run when things get bad. And we'll talk about that some too.
We're going down on our markets. We don't know how far. Hopefully we're downtrending some. Big question I have in my mind, and I think Ken alluded to this. We had all these projections of the cow inventory going way up, but we've had a huge adjustment in prices. Is that going to temper things a little bit on how far and how fast we move the cow numbers? And does that change that outlook out in front of us? That'll be one of my questions for Troy here later. Don't be afraid of technology. And one example I want to give you, age old, and you saw it on the slide. What has happened to the number of calves that are implanted that are sold on superior video markets? Gone way down. At today's market, if you're not implanting your calves, you're leaving $20 to $40 on the table. And that's $20 to $40 that if you look at that superior video market information again, they're not paying you a premium to be in those natural programs necessarily. So if you're going to avoid implanting calves, make sure you market the darn thing so you get paid for the fact you're not using technology. But technology is something we need to use to maintain efficiency. And technology can be anything from making a good selection on a bull for a crossbreeding or some breeding program. We're not talking about computers or anything, just adapting management practices that we have available that are proven to improve our efficiencies. So make sure we use those. And once again, this goes back to my best cost. See what those technologies cost and make sure they're going to bring you back the money. And make sure you implement them correctly so that they do. We heard a lot about value added. We can add value, but if the cost of adding that value outstrips the extra value, you're not making money. And so on these added value programs, I agree, we need to do whatever you're doing to add value and market, but you've got to market those calves. And we heard that earlier from Ken. Some people market cattle, some people sell cattle. And we're talking about marketing. So if you're going to go to those extra steps to try and instill more value, you've got to market that product. Don't just sell it to somebody on that. Dr. Steffens again, I think two big things here. Again, production risk management. And on a ranch, there's two areas of production risk management that come to my mind immediately. One of them is what do we do to manage our cow herds to ensure that we reduce our exposure to production risk, and production risk is that we maintain our weaning percentages, we maintain our weaning weights, we can produce those calves. But the other side is what I'm going to call feed risk management. And on a ranch, what is your feed? And I'm not talking about my friends from High Pro back here, okay? Your feed is that acre of land that you paid the money for. So how do we manage risk and reduce risk exposure for our feed supply, which means we've got to manage conservatively on our rangelands to keep them productive, because, you know, owning cows and getting rid of cows is a fairly short-term thing. I can get out of the cow deal tomorrow and kind of heal up if I wait. Overusing your rangeland and reducing the health and vigor of that plant community is a long-term problem. It's something you deal with for years to come. So we've got to manage that feed risk. Then finally, again, from our marketing standpoints, I'm just going to hit on those I said a minute ago. Let's market cattle, let's don't sell them. We got a lot of people that sell cattle. Those are the ones that me and other people that are in the stock or feedlot business like to have. We like to buy those that you're just selling, okay, rather than trying to market. So.